So, I didn't think I'd be talking about this at all. But, I think there is something to talk about here. So, let's do it. So, we are very aware of the news that Hasbro is kind of stepping back from the toy industry in terms of direct making toys. They want to kind of farm their license out and have a couple other people kind of step in and do things for them. And the idea is not awful. Look, a lot of companies that get really big, we've seen it in video games and whatnot, sometimes they farm out a game like part of their franchise to another company that then does the remaster or makes a completely different like part of the game. Like maybe they make part 3 or whatever while the other team is working on something else. And the whole series as a whole still tends to work. This has been proven it can work. And there's no reason to believe that other toy manufacturers that are already doing fantastic jobs with certain toys couldn't very well come in and do a toy for Hasbro. There's no reason we believe that it won't work. But it is not perfect. And we know this now without a doubt. And it does bring up a couple of things that I feel we may want to talk about. So, we all know that Hasbro has decided to farm out the Power Rangers license to Playmates. We know that. And Playmates recently released images of the first Rangers that they're doing, the first project. First they did a silhouette, then they released the Ranger photo. This is where concerns come in. This is it right here. It's simple enough. It's Rangers. Those are Rangers. They're flip head Rangers. The same kind of Rangers that we have seen over and over and over again. We remember the original Rangers when they came out, and then there was another release of those Rangers many years later. I believe it was the Legacy Collection, where they did the same kind of design, but they incorporated some new Rangers into that concept. If I remember right, like the Ranger Slayer was part of them. But these are different. A case in point, the originals from years ago, these were them. These are the old, original flip-head Rangers. They've got a kind of boxy design. These are the kinds of arms and everything that we had going on. These are the legs. They were very simple. They didn't like sidekick or anything like that. These were toys of the time. They all had these emblems. And of course, in America, for whatever reason, we did that instead of the footprint. And I've heard multiple rumors as to why, but I've never seen solid 100% evidence as to why we did that. Nor is this video to talk about this. But this was the idea, and they got their weapons and everything, and for what it was worth, in the time that these came out, we were not complaining. We played with these toys. I sure did, okay? So I'm not trying to say anything necessarily bad about the past like that. But like this, these are objectively bad. Like, I understand they wanted to add more posability to these old Ranger designs. So the arms are very much different. Like you could tell that they kind of got that where they could do this. They look like they might have wrists. I don't know if the wrists are just doing this or if they will do this. They look like they probably just do this. You've got the feet, which after getting the Ninja Turtles, that's another video altogether if you want to look at that, the feet, they may very well just turn. They may not do this and this. They may just do this. That could be its own problem altogether. They are going to be flip heads. These are Mighty Morphin. But this design is objectively bad. I mean, bad. Like, look at them. They're like... A buddy mentioned what they look like. And I have to agree. That look familiar? Because that's what they look like. He's spot on. That's the new Fliphead Rangers. They're also doing another release of the Megazord, which of course we expect. The Megazord does get, one of the Zords gets an action effect. Cool, but also not cool. Because if you're going to add action effects, which these may not be final images, we're going to put that out there. I don't see a sword. Of course, that's the shield right there, but I don't see a sword. I also see that this is going to be big and bulky, and it's not going to move very well. It's going to be a lot like the old Megazord. I understand that may very well be the intention here. But if you're going to go through the trouble of updating it, even mildly, to add something like a laser effect for the Sabretooth, then why not for literally every single Zord? Like, it just feels like a half measure. It doesn't seem... It seems funny to me. Like, you're going to give that blast effect, and then you're not going to give, like, the laser nose thing for the pterodactyl or, like, something like that. You're not going to give the ice nose to the mastodon. You're not going to give the laser breath to the tyrannosaurus. You're not going to give dual barrel bews to the triceratops. Like, you're not going to get the power sword and get an electric effect that you could put on top of it. And also, we're going right back to the old style of toys, which can hold it will not move well. And we know this. Why does all of this matter? I think it matters because we have to consider a couple of things here. One, these are toys. So before we even go into depth or talk about this, these are very blatantly toys, and they will very blatantly have toy prices. Okay? And so maybe we can't necessarily judge this on the idea that these are toys, these are not meant to be collectors' things, yada yada. But I want to back that up for a second. These are Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. These are very, very blatantly being sold to adult audiences. You cannot convince me otherwise. Nobody, no one, no child of 7 years old or whatever is asking for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And if they are, it is only because their parents have imposed that on them. That is not their Rangers. That's not their generation. It's not something they understand. They don't have a connection to Jason and Tommy and Zach and Trini and Billy and Kimmy. They don't. They don't. Not a genuine one. They may have one because they've seen some DVDs or some Netflix things or something like that here and there that their parents basically imposed on them. Oh, I used to love Power Rangers, or I still do love Power Rangers. Let's watch it together. That's fine. But realistically, you will not find the common everyday household child being a big fan of Mighty Morphin. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. These are marketed for adult collectors. And it is a blatant step backwards in quality. And it brings up a bit of a concern. Not for this line. Listen, they left the Lightning collection behind. They left it behind. They canceled it. They moved on. They sold the license. Now this is what it's being replaced with. Let's be honest about the situation, because this is important. These Power Rangers that we're seeing right here, well, they're not on the screen anymore, but the Power Rangers that we just looked at, those are what is replacing the Lightning Collection that people were buying or not buying. I never got to see sales numbers. We are not privy to that information. Maybe it didn't make enough to actually hold its own weight, which is the reason they decided to farm the license out anyways. I don't know. But regardless, I'm just going to say people were buying. I'm just going to use that terminology. And what it's being replaced with is Playmates gets the license and says, hey, let's do Rangers. Okay, what do? Do we do like a brand new wave of redesigned, remastered, cool Rangers, blah, blah, blah? No. I want to re-release Flipheads, only worse than they were before, and try to cash in on the Motu Origins craze. Kind of like they attempted to do with the Ninja Turtles, which I don't feel worked to the extent that they seem to think that it did. My concern now, if Power Rangers Lightning Collection was successful, if it can be deemed successful, not on your personal opinion, by numbers. If numbers alone said, hey, these Rangers sell, they make us money, Hasbro's making money. And they chose this. They chose to farm it out and let this take its place. Then what is to stop them from seeing profits, safe profits from this, that give money back to Hasbro, and then Hasbro makes decisions saying, hey, this is working. What if we run with this? G.I. Joe is doing really well, but if we don't have to take all the risk and all the cost, and we just get a kickback from everything that is sold, why don't we just farm that out? Now, I love G.I. Joe Classified. Can you imagine if G.I. Joe Classified was then farmed out to Playmates, and Playmates took it upon themselves to say, you know what we could do? We could re-release G.I. Joe from its heyday in the 80s and 90s and do those figures, but reimagine them badly. And I guess I'm picking on Playmates, but any company could do this. Any company could get a hold of what is currently working for Hasbro and do it like what I just showed. Is this a genuine concern? Should we be a little worried that this trend could lead to harming the other lines that are currently running? Could they make the decision, superhero toys and the Disney license, the Marvel license are a little too much for us, but we could farm those toys out? Now, I realize there's a lot in terms of licensing because Disney and Marvel, they pay for that license, and it's not the same kind of argument. But one could argue that just like a video game company pays for the license to use Batman, and they're making Arkham games, and then farm the third game out to another company that then makes a Batman game in the same continuity, and then that kind of goes in there. And that's, you get what I'm saying? Now, that was a company that owned the Batman license that then farmed it out to somebody else to do the next project for them. So there might not be that far-fetched of an idea for Hasbro to be doing something G.I. Joe and then go, hey, you know what would also be good? If they did it too, and then they could work on the retro versions or whatever, and we could work on this. Or it just makes me wonder, is this a sign to be worried? Because we have heard nothing about a more collector's adult market for this. We've only heard that the Power Ranger license went there, and this is what we're getting. I keep pointing as if it's still on the screen, but you get the idea. Is this a concern? Could this be a problem? I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. And I'm also not looking to cause a big stir or anything either. I'm legit curious. I'm even maybe a little bit concerned that if Hasbro sees this, if Hasbro's intention is to kind of leave toys and just kind of farm their license out and become kind of a property holder more than anything else, and this is the first concept of that moving forward, which I would argue is bad, could we be looking at some of our favorite current run toy lines walking directly into catastrophe in the next couple of years? I feel like it's something to think about. Let me know what you guys think. I'm interested. Later on.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.